Today we are going to make Valentines Doughnuts.
Give me a kiss. Oh, thank you.
Bow, chicka, wow, wow. That's basically what the shortening is doing to the donut right now. All right, so we're gonna get started with our donut dough. It's a yeast raised donut. To see the video for the recipe, just click right up here. We show you step by step on how to do it. We've already made the dough. We've let it double in size. As you can see, it's nice and fluffy. We're gonna punch it down, roll it out. We're gonna start cutting some beautiful heart-shaped donuts. So you're basically gonna need some dusting flour. Just get your area nice and floured up. You don't want the dough sticking. Just gonna go ahead and pull this out. We don't want to mess with it too much so it doesn't get tight. Handle it, make sure everything's nice and floured. And again, when you roll these out, almost like make an X or a plus sign. So we're gonna go forward some and back some. And then we're gonna go left and right, same way. Nice and soft. You don't wanna mess with the dough too much. We wanna keep it nice, soft, and tender. So as you can see here, if we get a little bit of a close-up, there's some bubbles already developing in the dough. That just means that the fermentation is happening. It's extremely active. We're gonna make sure that it's not stuck. And now we're gonna start cutting our heart-shaped donuts. I really like these right here. When it's done proofing, it's just gonna be the right size, a couple bites, and you're happy. These might get a little too big and warp out when they proof, and then this is probably more for like the showstopper. Hey, if you plan on proposing to anybody on Valentine's, this is the one I would use. Just stick a ring in there. No, don't do that. I'm the worst on relationship advice. All right, so we're gonna put this in the flour, and we're just gonna start cutting on the edge. So you wanna maximize your dough space. Don't leave any bit of dough behind. We really wanna get as many hearts as we can out here. They're so tender, they're so fluffy. Now all we have to do is let them proof before we fry them. All right, so we have our sheet pan. I usually just line it with some parchment paper, and then again, just dust a little bit of flour. Go ahead and put the hearts down, let them do their final proof before we fry it. It's gonna be a fun Valentine's Day. Depending on the temperature, 30 to 45 minutes. You don't want them to overproof because then you'll get what's called collapse. And then you'll eat crumpets, and nobody wants to do that. We want to eat donuts. All right, so we're going to make our strawberry glaze and our raspberry glaze. Yes, we use fresh fruit. Super easy. We're gonna use fruit and powdered sugar, confectioner's sugar, icing sugar. It's got many different names. You can find it at any one of your convenience stores, grocery stores. So we're basically gonna use 2 large or medium-sized strawberries to 2 cups of confectioner's sugar. You might wanna gauge it because some strawberries are more ripe and they have more juice in them and the other ones are not as ripe. So start off with about 75% of your powdered sugar and you can slowly add. It's a lot easier to add than to extract. And then for the raspberries, we're probably gonna use 4 of them. Again, it looks like a very minimal amount, but you'll see how far it actually goes. Just take a fork and just mash them down. So as you see, we've mashed down the strawberry. All the juices came out, all the pulp is still in it. You want to keep the pulp. That's just what makes these artisanal, gourmet, delicious donuts. So again, we're just mashing them up, pureeing them, whatever word you want to use, just get it done. Strawberries is 2 medium to large strawberries, 2 cups of confectioner's sugar. Raspberries are 4 raspberries, 1 cup of confectioner's sugar. It's amazing, when you put sugar on the fruit, it tends to make it even more liquidy. As you see, it's starting to come together. Still way too watery. We don't want it so soupy. So we're just gonna keep adding the powdered sugar. So as you see, it's really starting to come together. Okay, just gonna go ahead and add the rest of it. All right, so we've been mixing this thoroughly, getting any lumps out from the powdered sugar. As you see, it's nice and thick. It has a nice shine to it. It's not too runny. That's really good. And you can see the real fruit in there, no preservatives. So now we're gonna do the raspberry. Again, we're gonna slowly add the sugar. This is that saying in a kitchen, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean. Our donuts are proofing, we're making the icing, we're gonna start heating up the grease. We're gonna be able to fry them, decorate them, and eat them. So again, the more you start working the sugar in, it just tends to break down the fruit. It becomes even more liquidy. And when you do it enough, you're just gonna have a feel for it. You'll know if you have to add more or maybe not add as much, and you're just always gonna hold some back. But I could tell right now that this is gonna take every bit of that. It's usually a good time to wear aprons or not a black anything in the kitchen. Black is the worst color you could wear, especially with flour and powdered sugar. So as you see, this is starting to come together nice. We're just gonna go ahead and dump the rest of it. So we've been working the raspberry now. Starting to come together, nice and thick. You want it running just enough like that. See that little dangle? Because you don't want it running all over the donut, then running all over your face. It's not a good look. I guess on a Valentine's Day though, who cares? Especially if you're at your house, right? So here we go. Our strawberry and raspberry glazes are finished. We're gonna go ahead and put these aside. We're gonna take a look at our donuts, see how the proof is coming along. All right. So these donuts are looking nice and fluffy. You can always do a little test where you just press a corner And if you see the dimple kind of bounce back a little bit, that means there's still a few more minutes of proof time. If I were to push this in and it wouldn't bounce back at all, then it's ready to fry. But as you can see, it's still expanding. All the CO2 in there is moving. The fermentation is extremely active. I'm really happy the way this is looking. So we'll just cover this for about another 10-15 minutes. We'll get our shortening hot, get ready to start frying up. Okay, so our donuts are looking great. We're gonna get the shortening heated up right now. We're gonna move this right back over here. Come on, how cute is that? For Valentine's Day, it's perfect. All right, so when I am frying donuts, I usually like to have a small sheet pan, a wire cooling rack. I usually put some parchment paper below just to kind of capture any of the grease, any of the shortening. So the shortening is probably around 375 to 380. Here's another cool trick, chopsticks. These are amazing to flip donuts with, and I'm gonna show you how easy it is. And again, no cleanup, disposable. All right, so the donuts are ready, they're proofed. I'm gonna go ahead and bring them over and we're gonna start frying them. Careful on the edge here, we got precious cargo. Again, until you get comfortable and good with it, I would only fry 1 to 2 donuts at a time. I'm gonna go ahead and fry 4 of them at a time because I'm comfortable with it. I know how to work with the oil. All right, so here we go, and you wanna go very, very lightly when you put the donuts in. Like that. You don't wanna make any big splashes or splatters. It could just be very dangerous. We're gonna fry each side for about 35 to 45 seconds. Eventually you'll see the color that you're looking for. It's like a light golden brown. But in the meantime, you can use a stopwatch, you can use a timer, 35 to 45 seconds. Sometimes if they do flip, it just means that they have so much air in them, you could just give it a little poke, deflate it, put it right back on its right side. These are extremely hot, so you want to be careful. But you do notice that white line right there? That's called a proof line. That's basically letting you know that the dough is not sitting inside the oil, it's sitting on top of the oil because there's so much air in it, and it's floating and it's light and it's expanding. And then when you flip it, it's doing it again. So the middle part where it's white is called a proof line. Very important, very, very important. If you don't have it, it just means that it's underproofed and everything's a little tight in there. It's not bad. Donuts are never less than 5 out of 10. It's fried and has sugar on it. You can't go wrong. All right, let's keep frying the rest of these. I'm getting hungry. You can see how the donuts are growing out and up on the shortening. They're not sinking, they're not absorbing it, they're just basically becoming fluffy balls of love. Fluffy balls of love. It's okay if they flip when you put them in. It's not the end of the world. All right, so here we go. We just want to keep enough space on our cooling rack here. Make sure all that excess oil comes off of it. Oil, grease, shortening, all the same thing. At the end of the day, we are using vegetable shortening. Nobody died, nobody got burnt, luckily. Now we're done frying. So we're just gonna go ahead and let these donuts cool down a bit before we decorate them or fill them with anything. If you do it when they're too hot, it's gonna melt out. It's gonna be kind of weird. So we'll let these cool down. We'll come back, we're gonna make some fresh whipped cream. We're gonna cut up some strawberries and we're just gonna have some fun. All right, so we're about to make some fresh whipped cream from scratch. Super easy. Heavy whipping cream, powdered sugar. You can use cream of tartar to stabilize, you don't really need it. What I do want to talk about is what tools are you going to use to make your heavy whipping cream into actual whipped cream. This is the traditional method. I don't recommend it, all right? You're going to be doing this for like 30 minutes and it's going to be runny and not so good. And then we have one of these magic wands. That's what I call them. Basically put this attachment. The thing with this is it's extremely high powered. And what happens is if you overmix the heavy whipping cream, it turns into sweet butter. It's the last thing you want because then you're gonna have to toss it out and start all over again. The other method is one of these with a mixer. I don't recommend it. The only time you really need to do this is if you're making a huge batch. The other option is a handheld. These are pretty good. You have a nice control over it, kind of loud, inexpensive, easy to use. I don't mind it. This is my go-to. It comes with multiple heads. You can puree soups, you can beat eggs with it, you can whisk things. Super easy to make whipped cream. We're gonna use 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, half a cup of powdered sugar. If you wanna double the batch, you're gonna do 4 cups of heavy whipping cream, 1 cup of powdered sugar. This is how easy it is. We're just gonna dump that in. We're gonna plug this in. So we're just gonna mix it all together, incorporate all the powdered sugar and heavy whipping cream, and then we're gonna pulse it. Then we're gonna go ahead and put it in a bigger bowl so it doesn't splatter everywhere. All right, so once you start getting it to thicken up, we're gonna increase the speed because you wanna do this as quickly as possible. You just wanna get there. And you'll see it'll start thickening up and then we're gonna max out the speed. Again, we don't wanna overdo it, otherwise it turns into butter. That's pretty good. There's your whipped cream from scratch. It's that easy. So we're gonna get a spatula now. We're gonna take all of our whipped cream here. Look at that. This is my Valentine's date right here. All right, so the donuts are finished. They've cooled down. I decided to make a couple extra because that's just what I do. So we're gonna make some of these strawberry shortcake, some of them strawberry with dark chocolate, some raspberry with chocolate. It's just gonna be a lot of fun. So we're gonna start with some Nutella. We're gonna make a couple of these with Nutella. I mean, who doesn't really like Nutella? Come on. So we're just gonna stick it in through the hole here. We're gonna put a generous amount. In my bakery and in my experience of making donuts or any pastries, I like injecting them through the top. It fills the entire thing. You're not gonna get one side without any, one side that has too much, and it's not gonna come out the side when you bite into it. See that? It's right there. And then we're gonna cover it with some of this raspberry or strawberry glaze. I like using little spatulas. It just makes it nice and neat. You're not gonna contaminate the stuff. This is a really fun idea to do with a Valentine, you know, for a first date. Make donuts together, have fun. You just take some of this dark chocolate, make a little room on our tray here. So we'll just go like so. And then we'll make some of these raspberry dark chocolate, my personal favorite. And now for the ultimate, we are going to make strawberry shortcake. You're gonna need a knife, serrated, preferably. I wanna just cut the donut in half. Usually you're gonna wanna cut away from you, but yeah, I missed that day of safety course. Let's make the rest of them strawberry shortcake. All right, so for the shortcake, we're just gonna basically take the tops off. We're gonna place them on separate donuts. It really doesn't matter which one they go back to. It's all gonna fit. This is that heavy whipping cream that we turned into whipped cream. I put a tip on it. It's not necessary. You can literally take a spoon and just put it right on there. You can use a sandwich bag if that's all you have. I like to do this. It's just a little flare. And we'll just go ahead and do one of those. And then let's just go ahead and wow this up a little bit more. Put some fresh strawberries right on that. So here we're just gonna do these last 3 strawberry shortcake. Finishing it off with a little bit extra whipped cream. Everybody needs some extra whipped cream, right? A bit of cream. And we'll just finish it with some of the strawberry. All right, so we're completely finished with the donuts. As you see how much fun this is, how creative it could be, and they just taste amazing. Roses say I'm sorry, chocolates are like basic, but donuts say, I wanna be on you. And that's what we did here. So I hope you enjoyed this. It really is easy. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. I will answer them as I get them. Love y'all. Happy Valentine's Day. Hup, hup, come here, Bubba. Hup. Oh, oh no. Give me a kiss. Oh, thank you.